What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. I'm your host, Mark. Welcome to the show. How we feeling this week, everyone? It's that post-Thanksgiving action, so I have a feeling that we're all feeling a little bloated. Get your fiber in, folks. It'll pay dividends in life and this week. Well, look, let's jump right in. I don't know if you know about this. I'm pulling my phone out because I don't know that we've done a big announcement launch, but if you didn't know this, I'm going to tell you right now. Do you know Jungle Gyms has an app? It's now available on iPhone and Android. I'm one of those filthy Android users, but what's really cool about that, lately I've been doing this at the top of the show. It's got the weekly ad on there, and then if you log in Sunday nights, you get a sneak preview of the next week's ad, so you're welcome in advance for that little teaser. But, as you can see, I've got some stuff on the table right now, and what I've been doing for the last couple of episodes, for recently, is we've been going through and picking a couple of the things that I find in the ad and go, hey, these are a couple of things you should focus on. So we got some good stuff this week. I mean, the ones I was most excited about. I wanted to tell you about the cereal deal, right? It's a Kellogg cereal, and they're all like $2.99 a box. But after eating that giant bowl of Blueberry, Frankenberry, and the third one, Count Chocula, a couple weeks back in the show, I don't know if I'm ever going to eat cereal again. I think that irreparably changed my relationship with cereal. So, but there you go. Look, I still told you. Anyway, a couple that I didn't bring in because so far I've done a great job not bringing any raw meat into the studio. But we're doing a buy one, get one free on pork tenderloins. That's a killer deal. And if you come in and pick those up, I just request if you're smoking it, please bring me a sample. I'd love to try it. One of my favorite things, and this deal runs a lot this time of year. We use, I believe it's Gerber Amish Farms. They're our main chicken supplier. And man, the Amish chicken, if you're a meat eater, is so much better than almost any other chicken I've ever had. It just tastes better. It's like a little cleaner. I'm sure whatever excellent, interesting processes the Amish use, which probably just is growing it like we used to 1,000 years ago. It just makes the meat taste cleaner. I thought that was good. I saw along those lines too, in the deli, we have pre-made baby back ribs, and they're $7 off a rack this week, so it's like a $10.99. I'm double checking. $10.99. Also worth your time. I made those last night. I was very happy with it. They did tell you to microwave it to reheat it. I don't know if I agree with that methodology. I try to not use my microwave at all. So your mileage may vary there. But anyway, on to the things I've got here in person. So our friends at Pepsi and 7-Up, they've got 99-cent deals on all 2 liters from their brands. If you're like me, maybe you're out there getting a little Cherry 7-Up, zero sugar. I got the Dr. Pepper zero sugar happening here, but obviously all the other flavors. Realistic, you can buy this just because I love the rebrand Pepsi did overall. If you haven't seen their new logo, it looks great. It's a classic, but a little modern. Great work. One of my favorite redesigns because, we're like, as a culture, moving too much towards minimalism for my liking, so nothing really stands out. So when I see this go back to what I feel is classic, it's good news. I brought these out, and I'm sipping on this today. This is Hint water. If you haven't tried Hint water, I would say, how could I describe this? It's water with a little bit of fruit essence. I'll put it that way because I think that's how they worded it here. No sugar, no sweeteners, none of that. It's kind of like a still water version of a flavored seltzer, right? If that makes sense. But I'm drinking the grape today. It's pretty good. They've also got pineapple. There's multiple flavors, but we're doing, it's 12 packs of those are on sale for $10 right now. $9.99 to be specific. And normally it's like twice the price. So that's, I think, one of the better deals this week in general. Had to mention that. I'm liking the grape one. It's got a little of that grape popsicle vibe. I'm here for it. I like regular water though, so maybe I'm not a good person to say this, but I'm like, yeah, if you're one of those, I hate to call you weird, but weird people who hate water, this is a great way to maybe hate it less. And last in my picks here, I'm going Campbell's Chunky Soup this week. They're on sale for $1.99. I'm excited about this flavor. It does say select variety, so maybe I could be wrong on this one, but it was with the other ones I grabbed. I went with Old Bay Clam Chowder because that sounds fun. They've been doing, there's a whole like line Campbell's just did a spicy stuff. I feel like people are going to lose their minds for that. Cool. All right, so we're off to a good start here. Hey, I also need to announce this week's contest winner. You know I've been loving doing these giveaways. The holidays has kind of gunked up the works a little bit, as well as TikTok banning our original account. So in the meantime, if you could go ahead and subscribe to our new TikTok account. It's under Jungle Gyms Official. I've been posting some stuff out there. Check that out. Been trying to go, I need 1,000 followers to go live again, and we're building it up again, but you know, you can imagine it was thrilling to me to do that. But I want to congratulate the replacement winner because we did pick one winner and they were not responsive. And then I put you into the randomizer again. So thank you to everybody who commented on the sandwich video in the most recent episodes of the podcast. Anyway, I was like, what am I supposed to do here? Oh, the winner. Congratulations to Cavalier DB. We're all clapping. Come on in, and you know what? I've written you on your YouTube comments, one of your YouTube comments, and just reach out to me at podcast@junglejims.com. We can coordinate a pickup time. You get the cooler with all the sodas that we got. I'm pretty excited about that. And we'll figure out what fun new thing is giving up next. You know, I mentioned Hint Water today. Hint is doing something very cool for me, and I've seen it. I'm just going to tease you that at some point we're going to do a really big contest with something Hint gave me. I think you'll all be very excited for it. It is, without question, the highest dollar value item I have given away on the show so far. But I'm going to make it, you're going to have to earn it, right? We're going to get like need a lot of subscribers. So if you are listening right now, I'm almost to 3,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. I would love your subscription. So if you go over there, subscribe to Jungle Gyms Market on YouTube, follow along. We've been releasing extra videos, other fun stuff like that. All right, so we got through the weekly ad here, and it's the holiday season, and I've been excited about little things here. And so when I was over at Eastgate somewhat recently, I was talking to, I say recently, I taped this a while back, but I was talking to Bree over there. She's one of our buyers, works in natural foods, and she's been so great and so helpful, helping me find new products and new vendors and all kinds of stuff. And at one point, she's like, we have this candle company and we cannot keep these on shelves. And I was like, tell me more. So it got me connected with Cory over here at Libby's Country Candles. And Cory goes, hey, Mark, what if I came on the show and we made a candle together? And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. Let's do it. So let me go ahead and just stop yammering, and we're going to go on to the meat and potatoes of the show today. Meet Cory with Libby's Country Candles.
Well, I'm Cory. I'm the co-owner of Libby's Country Candles. We're a small candle company. We use all soy products that are all sourced locally. We sell in Jungle Gyms in Eastgate, hopefully soon to Fairfield. We're working on that.
This is our bargaining chip. I'm like, get in here, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here, just to try to poke around and bother people until they'll let me sell them here. But yeah, it's been going really well. We just opened our first store over in Eastgate in the mall, and yeah, it's our first shot at a retail store.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been going really well. We've had a lot of good positive responses. You know, Eastgate, honestly, to me anyway, when I moved back from here, because we lived a few different places for a few years, when we came back to Eastgate, it was right before Jungle bought the old Biggs and did everything that he did, and it was crazy to come back, because when I was a kid, that was like the place to be. Everybody cruised Eastgate. Everybody was there. And then when I came back, it was like crickets, you know, just a ghost town. And then he did that over there, and it's like it just pumped life back into the place. So
I love that.
Yeah, he definitely did a lot over there. Sure.
Oh, that's
here,
so cool.
Of course.
Well, right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But that's nice to hear too. And you know, honestly, I've been trying to do more Eastgate content in general. Just getting over it. You can imagine it's hard to move the entire studio over there. Yeah. But I've been trying to get over there a little more often. Do like at least occasional TikTok short videos and things like that. And I love the team over there. But it is really nice to hear that story too, because I wasn't super familiar with the area prior to him opening the store over there. Oh yeah. And so I was like, oh, so hearing that, it was like, you know, you love to hear it. I'm like, all right, that keeps me employed, probably.
He definitely did something with that.
Well, tell me about the inception of Libby's Country Candles. How did this all happen for you guys?
Funny enough, I mean, it started out as my wife bought a lot of candles, and one day we just got the idea, like, I think it'd be way cheaper if we just started making them. And we made a couple in our kitchen. Yep. I kept one of them. I still have it in a cupboard. I don't know why, but we kept the first candle we made, but we still have it.
I love that.
And just through time, we were like, well, let's do like a fair or a festival and see if anybody wants to buy them. And then not too long after that, we came up with the candle we're going to make today, the Fruit Loop Bowl, which is our biggest seller. We call it the Rainbow Rings, of course.
I love it. Right.
But yeah.
Not trying to have the General Mills himself coming after us, or is that post? I don't know. Makes it.
It's just like a boot and ant scenario. Like, hey, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah, you're like, okay, rainbow rings, got it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I talked to a lawyer about it, they're like, no, it can't rhyme. It can't do anything like that. I was like, okay,
sounds
I'll
good.
Just come up with something original.
Yeah, I mean, it works. We all know what we know what to expect in that regard. That's so funny. It's funny. I feel like so many of these. I met a lot of brands over obviously in the last couple of years, especially that I've been here, which makes sense. I don't know why I said it that way. Like, of course, I didn't meet any of these brands while I wasn't doing this job, but they. I found so many of them popped up. Like, it was like COVID inspired so many people to start like new projects and thus businesses.
Oh yeah,
it's been wild to see this happen. Like, just this kind of explosion in the last couple of years of so much like just creative content and people doing like these passion projects that they're like, now this is what we do.
Leave people alone long enough and they'll come up with something.
It's kind of great.
It's good or bad.
Right. Exactly.
All kinds of interesting things. Yeah.
I'm here to be intrigued. I'm here to just, and I'm the one. I'm like, all right, I don't have a lot going on, but I'm going to watch all of this and see where do I fall in line. You know what I mean? Like, where do I land? Oh my gosh. Were the cereal bowl style ones, was that like one of your first creations, or was that kind of later in the game?
Yeah, that was one of our first creations. We were just kind of playing around with a few things, and then I met a guy out of Tennessee who made a fragrance, and he was like, it smells just like Fruit Loops. And then he kind of helped teach me how to make it. And now, that recipe that you can get that locally at the same place I get my candle supplies now, and they make the fragrance for me, and it's so dead on.
Oh, that's
cool. I like
cool.
to think I have a special way of doing it, but other people make them, and that's fine. I always, I'm fine with helping other candle makers around. There's plenty of us in just the Cincinnati area, for sure. And with COVID and everything, it definitely brought out a lot of people's more creative side, I think, when they were just, what do we do?
Right. Like, all right, baking bread, know? I mean, I saw a lot of bread baking.
I was this close. Like, maybe I should do bread. Like, and you look into the process and it's like, oh, no thanks. Like, I don't have this much time or talent when it comes to cooking. I wish I was a little better at cooking. But
that'll be our trade-off. I'm like, you teach me to make candles, I'll teach you something in the kitchen. We'll just, that'll be our second episode.
Well, I did see down at the Governor, they made a sandwich after you.
How crazy is that?
So you made it.
I
mean,
honestly,
they made a sandwich.
And that was like one of the craziest notifications I've ever received, because I've been joking with and I'm calling all of my restaurateur friends that I've known for 20 years here now, out right now. But I've been telling them forever, I'm like, one day I'm going to be relevant enough that someone, I always want to just be a sandwich, or not even a sandwich special, but just a special on a menu one time. And I gotta say, I'm gonna give a lot of love to the Bracco family right now for that one, because they did that very shortly after they were on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. They could have, now they're extra. They were great. They were like one of my favorite restaurants in town anyway. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, now you're super duper relevant, and you chose to highlight me.
Perfect storm.
It was so crazy. I honestly, I'm beyond honored, and the burger was great. So.
Yeah, I haven't been down there in a while, but I'll definitely check it out next time I'm down
yeah,
there.
I'm gonna.
Your friend Steiny ain't got no chance with that. Saw his sandwich. The only way that peanut butter, cheese, and Arby's sauce sandwich, I had this horrid look on my face watching that video. And
it's
my
terrible.
wife's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching somebody eat something they shouldn't, and I think.
And that was one of those ones. He was like, I've known Steiny my whole life, and he is like dangerously sober. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, you came up with this. Was like one of those things. Like when we all have the friend that we're like, oh, they would have come up with it. Yeah. It was never Steiny on that list for me. And then when he pitched it, I was like, really? And watching the clip again on the 100th episode, I was like, when I taste it, the cheese is wholly unnecessary. I think, if anything, it's a problem. Huh. But I feel like there might be a case. Actually, funny enough, going back to the Governor, they're doing these like spicy PB&J drumsticks right now on the menu. Nice. It kind of hits a weird, like almost like Thai note, because it was like peanut butter with like kind of a spicy, I don't know, that like slightly, I don't even know how to describe Arby's sauce, probably, but. That mixture, weirdly good. I'm sorry that we've derailed this already, but thank you for watching my show. That just made my day, Cory.
Just when I saw that he was like, wow, he just got a sandwich named after him, and I was like, after he ate that sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of like a badge of honor now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll get like a correctional facility to pick that up, and they'll name it after him.
That would be amazing.
Something like that. I don't think anybody's going to order it.
The prisoner panini coming hot off the thing. There you go, Steiny. You've made it again. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I can't believe it. So now what we got to do is we got to make a burger flavored candle.
Oh, gosh.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine trying to?
I tried for a long time to try to make bacon.
Yeah.
My dad actually had this idea, like get these little cast iron skillets and put wood wicks so it crackles like bacon. And I probably wasted $500-$700 trying to make, and the closest I got was like a spicy dog food smell.
Ooh, one of my favorites. Yeah. We're carrying it in the pet department now.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, it's we've tried a few. Meats are really hard.
I feel like they've got to be nearly impossible.
Sometimes, I mean, there's certain ones that just hit just right somehow. Like I have a guy, he emailed me a list of some of his new fragrances, and one of them he swears it smells just like Blockbuster. Like, and I've had tons of people like over the years send me ones, and it always smells like popcorn. It's like, but he's like, no, you can smell the carpet, you can smell the glue on the DVDs. Like, all right, send it to me.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's got to be wild. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, instantly scents and thoughts rush back in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Friday night. The pizza's on its way to the house. I'm picking up a DVD.
Yeah. Not everybody knows that smell anymore, though.
It's kind of depressing, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I always liked that. You know, as a kid, you always remember like going to the movies. You know, going to the movie store, pick out a couple. You know.
It's crazy to think it wasn't that long ago that we were still doing that too.
Yeah.
I mean, a little over 10 years probably.
And they had
now.
like their 3-month span of we'll mail them to you, and then it was just like
and then,
after that.
I love the anecdote that Netflix pitched Blockbuster doing Netflix to them, and they were like, "That's an idiot. That's an idiot decision. That's never going to work." And then Netflix is ubiquitous with film now, right?
Yeah.
And Blockbuster is something that we lament the loss of. You know?
Yeah. They're pretty much. I don't even know. They're not around anymore at all, are they?
I think there's one left. They did a documentary called The Last Blockbuster. And
that's right.
I think it's like, I want to say it's in Alaska or somewhere, I'll say Pacific Northwest. Maybe that's a good way to put it. You know what I mean?
It's not readily available.
Right, exactly. Like it's very far away. And, curious, part of me I wish there was a greater tie here to it, because I would be like, that's a road show I'd love to do is go to the final Blockbuster. But there is that, I'm sorry, again, I love this. I love when the podcasts go here. I was like, no, this is fine. I really, that's one of those things I didn't realize how much I missed it until anytime I have an opportunity to think, where I'm like, oh, so many weekends and just, you learn a lot about your friends, anybody you're in a relationship where you're like, what are they picking? What are they looking at?
Yeah.
You know, what's their snack choice of the hour? Are they the sour watermelon wedge knockoff people, or, are they popcorn only? It depends on what we're looking for. Are they picking up the 4 for $20 used DVDs? So.
Yeah, those were always great. I always go for the games myself.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But yeah, we never, because I grew up right next to Cincinnati over in a little town called Brookville, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not much. There's more there now, but when I was growing up, we had a movie theater that played one movie a week, Friday, Saturday, matinee on Sunday.
Yeah.
Old school theater. So that's what I grew up with. So when I came over here, I was like shell-shocked when I was like, there's like 10 movie theaters in here?
Yeah.
They're showing it at a bunch of different, I come in here at like 10 a.m. and watch a movie? Like,
oh, yeah.
Blew me away.
It's crazy to think about too. I was like, and I think the one I grew up close to was like, it had 2 screens. And I remember being like, wow. And they were the biggest theater rooms I've ever been in my entire life.
I'm pretty sure ours had like the second layer balcony and all that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Miss that stuff.
Yeah, really. It's like, I kind of wish it's funny because in a world where the theater experience is kind of not quite going away, but they're trying to figure out how to retain us as customers. I'm like, I think you might need to go big. I think you might need to take a wild swing and see what happens. Like look, this summer I've seen more movies I think I have than in most of my life. And I really have to, this is such a nerdy thing. I'm so glad you brought this out of me, Cory. But there's a theater up here it's in Liberty Township. It's at the Liberty, whatever they call it, the Liberty Center. But they have a movie theater there, and they have this technology in one of the theaters. They're called D-Box. D-Box are these seats they're motion seats, almost like a ride, and they are synced to the movie. And it can be everything as little as like a slow, soft camera move, and the seat will move with it, to an intense action scene where you're getting tossed out of it is
you got
honestly
a seatbelt or something.
No, but it's like one step beneath that. Like it's one of those I'm actually kind of surprised at times you don't, because even like the little promo because it's 2 rows in a regular movie theater, so you just buy specific seats for that. So the rest of the audience, like when you get in there, they start showing ads for those seats. You're like, if you were in rows C and E, you'd be experiencing the movie like this, and then it's like a car racing sequence, and it's kind of intense. And every time, like especially when you go with somebody who's never seen it before, it's like this insane thing. But literally, we've gone almost every week to see everything that's come out, and no matter what it is, I mean, I'm seeing movies. I'm talking crappy movies. Oh no, but we've seen, and I've gone and seen crappy movies, like ones I would have never thought to see. But then I'm like, you know what? I bet watching Jason Statham kill a giant shark with a jet ski might be fun in a motion simulator. So,
wow. So
anyway.
they just straight stole that from Kings Island, right?
Pretty
With their
much.
Days of Thunder, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like that's the vibe, dude. And so then I'm like, all right, what car racing movies are there? And then I'm like, but put one out. I'm in. Ford versus Ferrari. Let's go.
Yeah. Are they making new Fast and the Furious like every 6 months, right?
Funny enough, that was one of the ones I saw in it this summer, and I was kind of like, oh, well, let's dive back into the actual important part here. So now that we've given our pitch on the state of the theater industry, which should get better. I don't want to bury the lead too far, but you've obviously got gear to make stuff today, right? So, because we're going to make a candle today.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been burying that all day today.
Yeah, so this is, it's funny enough, this is like one of my first burners I ever bought. Like
You're kidding.
7 years ago. Yeah.
Aww.
And it still works.
That's
like
amazing.
Can't go wrong with it, I guess. But yeah, it's basically a pretty simple process. Everybody has their own little tweaks and things they like to do.
Yeah.
Temperatures, when to add this, when to move this, how to shake it, like how to stir it, like whatever you want, James Bond style,
Yeah.
But
if you swirl it twice counterclockwise, that definitely gets the fragrance out more, right?
Yeah, you have to. If you don't stop right at 3 o'clock, the whole thing's just ruined. You might as well just throw it in the trash. But yeah, over the years, the process, obviously, it's more repetitive. I get used to it. But now, like one of the reasons we wanted to open our own store is to be able to do more creative things.
Sure.
And try to, because for a long time, we did fairs, festivals all over the place. And then moving on, we started to sell into stores like Jungles and some other stores in Milford and the local area. And then when COVID happened, obviously all the fairs, festivals, everything stopped.
Right.
So we leaned more into that, and then it started getting to a point where it's like, I really wish we could make creative things again, because there's always certain things we can make that I can't sell to a store. They can't resell them for a good profit.
Right.
And, some of them are just madness. I mean, we make one we call Loopzilla. It's a hole like this, except it's here. It's about this tall. It's about 5.5 pounds when it's finished. And people love them. A friend of mine, he wanted to take on a couple at his store, River City Market in the Eastgate Mall.
Yeah.
He wanted to take on a couple, and people loved them. I was really surprised because, I mean, all of our prices are as low as we can because we just want it to be that way.
Yeah.
It hurts to, like, even some of our other candles that are $35, I feel like that's crazy for a candle. I mean, some people sell candles for $90, hundreds of dollars.
Oh, for sure.
That's crazy. But we, what makes us a little different, we offer a refill service. So you can burn down this candle, bring it back, and it's way cheaper to just have it refilled.
No kidding.
We clean them, and then we'll inspect them, make sure everything's good, safe, and then you're good to go. Sometimes, after burning it a couple times, it might weaken the integrity, and then it's got to go. But it makes us feel like we cut down a little bit on some of the waste.
Honestly, you really do, though. I mean, that's like, that's pretty unheard of in my experience, at least. I've not seen this offered before.
Nobody does that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of always, with friends and family, they've always just brought us them back, and we just refill them. I mean, it's always been there. I don't know why anybody didn't want to offer that, but it's easier to just make something and,
That's cool, though.
I mean,
like, and even ones, if somebody buys it from Jungle, for example, like.
Yeah, I've had people bring me other containers, as long as it's candle safe.
Right, yeah, you're like, I'm on board. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool service, though. Like, what a great idea, too. Again, I mean, on the waste cutting down, I mean, that's great. And then the idea that, look, how often have we joked about things? We're like, can I get a refill on that? And now you actually can? Great. Yeah. I'm in. I'm definitely down for this. Now, you've done a couple cereal flavors. So we have the rainbow rings today. There's two others in the lineup, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, we have the cinnamon toast cereal and Captain cereal.
Oh, Captain cereal. Right.
It's familiar with the Captain cereal.
Yes. Does that candle also cut the roof of your mouth?
I've never tried that. I know it definitely doesn't taste as good as it smells. I've definitely had plenty of it in my mouth.
Sure, yeah. You're like, oh, it's a little chewier than anticipated,
Just a little bit. But Yeah, little kids definitely enjoy that. Their parents are pretty good at stopping them most of the time. But yeah,
sure.
as soon as they see it, they'll go, and then it's right up to them. Like, I'm going to eat this.
Right. You're like, all right, well, it says child safe and approved. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hell, should we start the process?
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do it.
All right. So, pretty simple.
Yeah, you bet. All right. So we're setting up the burner here. We get a little plug-in action.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
This is just some of the local soy that we get over at the Campbell maker store.
Okay.
And they've pretty much always been our supplier. But
Cool.
they do a really good job of coming up with some of the fragrances.
All right. So this is a bottle of fragrance.
Yes, this is the magic right here. So, thank you. Yeah, so this is our Rainbow Rings fragrance.
Yes.
So this will be enough. This is a little much, actually. We'll use about half of this to make the one bowl here.
Okay.
And then I've already inserted it's a 3-wick candle. It's about a pound when it's done.
Sure.
A little extra in there from the loops. And
Awesome.
then...
Mind if I look inside too?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh, cool. I was kind of wondering how they made it in the bottom so you can see they're all set up there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We like to use the wicks, the metal at the bottom. That helps a lot with the heat and stuff like that. I always have problems with heat. That's most candle makers, the biggest struggle is getting the wick and wax ratio right, because you have so many different kinds of wicks. It can burn too hot, too little. It'll just snub out if it's the wrong kind of wax.
I didn't even think about that.
It gets real touchy like that sometimes, but luckily for us, this formula, we've used it for 6.5 years now, so we're pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, you're past the R&D stage, you know.
So these are our loops. We make these. They're all made out of wax.
Oh, cool. And they smell like them already.
Yep.
That's amazing. Wow, and crazy accurate.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, we have an interesting way of doing it. I like to, like I was saying before, with temperatures and stuff like that. So I do all the loops at different temperatures and different amounts of fragrance. And somehow, in my mind anyway, that's what makes ours better, because you get some of them smell lighter and some of them smell real strong. But then when you add it with the base and mix it, it's like it's swirling when you smell it.
That's cool.
So it just makes sense to me to do them all a little different, and then it'll all make it smell more real, because they're not as accurate, as the real thing.
Sure.
Because the real thing's a little duller now. I think they might have used to look like this, but people like the vibrant color.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely did. We do Cocoa Puffs.
Cocoa Puffs.
But that one, we only do it in like regular candles and wax melts, because unfortunately, if you make the coat, which we did, we made the Cocoa Puffs. They look just like them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you add them into the milk, it just looks like a bowl of dog food.
Okay, I could get that.
It's not as appealing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, a little dog food action lately. We were trying some chips the other day, and I unfortunately described one of them as dog food forward, and it wasn't inaccurate, but it was still one of my favorite chips I've tried.
I've been wanting to try. I went to Eastgate the other day at Jungles to look for it. I'm gonna look here before I leave probably. I haven't tried them yet, but the Canadian Ruffles, all
fully dressed.
I've heard so much about it, and
they're great.
It's such a shame I haven't been able to find them yet.
And a lot of people are like, the Canadian ones are so much better. And while I do think they are better, I think it has been overstated, the gap. So the Canadian ones are, but it's like an A to a B plus, right? Not the A to C that I was sold on, because I tried them both. I was like, and by the way, they're all great.
They're all great.
Yeah. And I saw Lay's in America came out with they did a kettle chip version of the fully dressed this year.
Really?
As like a little, they do that like summer of Lay's, and it's like, here's a Reuben sandwich. I think Reuben actually was one of the flavors this year too, but
I'd eat that.
Yeah.
Love Reubens.
Oh, for sure. And it was really, really good too. It was like that. I think they did a Cuban sandwich too. Any of the Uben sounding sandwiches.
See, that was it.
Is it ready to go already?
Yeah,
all right, well, dive into the little
fast.
camera angle. Look at that. Oh, amazing. That's quick. And I love the little pour spout too. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, basically, different people sell these online, but basically it's a Presto pot. Some people like to use a double boiler. That is a little better sometimes. This is faster.
When you say better, what do you mean by that?
Some people think that, it's how much attention you pay to it. A double boiler, you have way less of a chance of going way too hot.
Oh, okay.
And it protects the wax more. You get that layer of water in between.
Sure.
With this method, it's quicker, but you have to pay more attention.
Sure.
But it's never made I haven't had any accidents yet.
Cool. The 0 day counter just reset.
How many days since an accident? Okay, for me.
Perfect.
For a second.
Cool.
So it's just a basic pour pot.
Okay.
Nothing special there. So
But you transferred to that.
Yes. So, and then I will, I'll just put a little in.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of check the temperature of both, with just a thermal thing on my phone.
Does that work pretty well?
It does. I used to use a regular thermometer, but this seems a lot easier to me.
Yeah,
and
you're using a Pixel, right?
Yeah, I'll use
Yeah, because I think they have the laser on the camera sensor now. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so you check it, and then...
Point Pixel.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about how my screen fell off, but...
Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah.
That was the most... I've never seen that happen. I was just...
Is it a 6 or a 7?
Look, I actually put tape just to hold it.
Oh my God, just to hold it in?
Yeah, but nothing's wrong with it at all. It completely works fine. Just one day I was hitting it and looking, and all of a sudden I was like, it's bouncing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just went and opened it, and I was like, oh, I can see inside.
Google, what are you doing? I've been out here singing your praises. Can't do me dirty like that.
In their defense, it was most likely my fault for playing music and leaving my phone on the GPS for about 7 hours straight on our last road trip. It did get quite warm. But, okay, so we're almost there already.
Cool. So we just wait for it to cool down a little bit so you can do the first, is this like the base layer goes in first?
Yep, so the base layer go in. So since I'm just doing a small amount or small batch, one candle, we'll add this in.
Okay.
Now there's a lot of candle makers who get upset if you don't use a spoon.
Okay.
I'm in a lot of candle making groups on Facebook and whatnot, and people are always like, you have to stir it a certain amount, but if I'm making one, I just do this because it just makes sense to me. It's still getting mixed. It has to go counterclockwise, though.
Oh, right, exactly,
or
like you
it'll catch
said.
on fire. No,
right. If there's anything I've learned about Facebook groups, it's not nice things about them, unfortunately. Usually it's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
I'm a doer.
Luckily, most of the groups I'm in, people are very supportive. I guess you get lucky and
that's
find
really
the right
good.
ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Because people post things they do on there, and luckily there's not people like trash.
Yeah,
that's
I'm just so used to that on the internet everywhere. They're just like, oh, thanks, your output is not worth my time. You're like, okay, cool, thank you. What are you doing today?
That's the best part about using soy wax is
wipes up
hot
easy,
water. Cleans it. That's it.
No kidding. That's awesome.
No cleaner needed. Yeah. Most candle companies use paraffin wax, which from crude oil, so it's a little rougher. We can pop the lid on this.
Just wanted to widen the angle a little bit. I realized it was just a talking body. So I got a little more FaceTime in there too. I'm impressed at how long it's staying that liquid.
Yeah, there's actually some candle makers that can make, and I did it one time where you can catch it right before it starts to harden, and you can actually make it look like whipped cream if you just start stirring it up. One of my friends, Jackie, she's a candle maker. She lives out by Wilmington, and she makes pieces for other candle makers a lot.
Cool.
Like she makes those. Well, I make mine, but she makes those as well, and she makes all these crazy realistic things.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the best part for me is everybody kind of has different things they do and like.
Yeah.
And, I always hope for that most of the time. All right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, well, there's only, in my opinion, there's only a benefit from supporting each other,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to just, the more you help each other, the more somebody's going to think of you when they need help. I'm still wearing the apron. See, I work with both of my kids around me all the time, so I have to have a pen that says no. Oh, it's dead, probably because I've used it so much.
Used it too much.
Yeah.
Every dad's favorite word.
Yeah. It just, it cuts down on time for me.
Smart.
Just makes it easier for me to tell him no.
I'm going to tell my dad that's why he said it so often. Oh, your efficiency. Perfect. Amazing.
All right.
Well, I should tell everybody too. I mean, the scent is very, very noticeable. I mean, across the table, I can smell this without question. So I imagine that's only going to be the case too when you're actually burning it.
Yeah. The main two types that candle makers look for is there's a hot throw and a cold throw.
Okay.
So cold's just sitting there.
Right.
That to me is part of how I do the loops.
Sure.
Because the more different combinations of temperatures and mixtures of fragrance, then I just feel like the better everything it's going to have. And of course we mess with them. We have to do testing. We have to keep a book on it. We do 3 main tests for every candle. They all go in our big rec sink that's in my mudroom at my house. And then one of them, because you're supposed to just burn a candle an hour at a time, and then nobody does that.
Right.
Nobody does.
Yeah, it's either a
So-
few minutes or 7 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or
So-
I fell asleep in the living room again.
So we do one test that's just by the book, and then we do one extended test where it's like 4 or 5 hour time, and then out, relight, and then we do one where we just call it, we just light it and let it go.
Yeah, the full
See
burn.
what happens. Kinda. Yeah. And usually if they can pass the first 2, they're good to go.
Cool.
Sometimes almost all of them on the third one, some big candles, it's just not good to burn them and let them go because some of them can go for 30 hours. I mean,
Right.
the soy does burn longer, so it lasts a lot longer than a regular paraffin wax candle.
That's cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's little differences. Beeswax is a very good wax as well. It's also the most expensive, though.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so most people, there's some people who like to use beeswax a lot, but they make, with the beeswax wax, you'll make candles that burn very long time. If you ever go up to the Renaissance Festival, which I think that's here now.
Yeah, I think it starts this weekend.
Yeah, there's usually a beeswax candle, and they'll have one that's like a 7,000 hour candle that's like all crazy big. And all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this in here.
All right.
So nothing super technical here. It's
Just a simple
it
pour,
in.
huh?
Just pour it in. Now, for a lot of our smaller candles, we have a little tool that'll hold the wicks.
Yeah.
Like a,
It always moves on me anytime.
yeah, they'll have a little tool that holds the wicks. But ours, basically, it's a triangle, so the wicks need to just stay out. They burn towards the middle
Okay.
as it concaves it in perfectly.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, with doing the wholesale and all the other things we've done, I would say this is probably, I'm probably up into like 30 or 40,000 one I've made. I mean,
even
I've
imagine.
made so many
I
of them.
bet.
Yeah, I mean, just in just the jungles in Eastgate around Christmas time, they'll burn through a couple hundred of them. Like,
I'm sure.
it's no big deal. I mean, with all the jungles, the foot traffic, there's so many people. I mean, it's one of the most interesting places to go where
sure.
you don't actually have to spend money if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So it's just a place you can go where you won't see stuff anywhere else. And I mean,
I had a guy on here who's doing design, a friend of mine, and he was one of my early interviews too. And he was like, "What I like about here is I can come and just get inspired." He's like,
Yeah.
"There's so many different, it could be anything from different logos on brands to just some of the art Jungle has hung around the store." He's like, "That's so good for me because I can just, kind of experience it."
Yeah.
And then to me, it makes perfect sense to have brands like yours in here. When I heard it was doing really well at Eastgate, and I think this is before we'd even really connected, but Bree was telling me over there, she's like, look, she's like, for the most part, I feel pretty confident on what's going to move the right way and how. And she's like, and these things are just flying. She's like, I thought they were going to do well. I just didn't think it was going to be like,
yeah, she was a bit hesitant at first. I love Bree. She does a great job.
No, for sure. But,
And
you kind of have to be doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
And when I see, look, I know how many emails I get from random people that have a new business. So I can't even imagine if I actually had the authority to bring them in the store, what the inbox looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know they've been really happy with it. It's been flying off the shelves. It's so cool. Look, it's cute. It's fun. It's locally made. It's all these things that we all want. And I think it's one of the cool little magic things about Jungle Gyms that it's like, sure, you can get the brands you've heard of, but you want to meet the next generation of these brands that you've heard of, come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Jungles, they sell a lot of them. They sell them at a really good price. It's been really great working with them.
That's awesome.
And before we started this, let's see, I'm trying to think of everything I've done. I've had a lot of jobs over the years because I like doing my own thing, obviously. But I used to deliver to here and to the other one when it first opened. I worked for Stagnaro. They're a Coors distributor. Yeah, we did and I also, what was that? You did an episode with, what's her name? I always forget her name. Molly.
Oh, Molly Wellman?
Molly Wellman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Molly. Oh my gosh, what an awesome person.
Yeah, her place is downtown. Because when I first moved back, I had learned how to drive and deliver when I lived in Colorado, and I delivered all through the mountains and stuff like that. It was beautiful.
Expert mode, yeah.
Beautiful, yeah.
I'm hoping to die there is kind of my life plan.
You better hurry up. It's gone up a lot now.
It is crazy. Every time I look at Zillow, I'm just like, oh, cool. I'll never be happy.
Yeah.
I'm just accepting it.
I know so many people who sold their houses for like double and triple what they paid for them. people just flocked there, which I get. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
What I like so much about the state is that I always feel like at more than some of the other Western states that I like to visit, it feels like a good halfway point between I can be really remote if I want, but I also can have like modern creature comforts, right? Like not too far away where I'm like, yeah, if I take this path a few miles in, I haven't seen another person since I turned left, right? But I can also drive that 7 miles back into town and be like, oh shit, there's a movie theater and a Target.
Oh, yeah. There's so many good places to eat, especially in Breckenridge. That's most of the place I worked at was Breckenridge.
Is beautiful.
I love
my gosh, yeah, I spent
Breckenridge,
that was my last vacation before I started the job here.
Nice.
I drove out there. I was just like, let's go and spend a couple weeks out there in the mountains. It was amazing.
You hit up an oxygen bar.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like recreational oxygen is very there. Yeah, it's very in there, you know.
Well, you need it when you go up that high. I mean, the first time I went up there, I kind of messed up because we lived in Orlando for a while before then, because I actually went to motorcycle school. I learned motorcycle mechanics. Yeah, I don't do it anymore. But then when we got to Colorado, I did that for a while. And then I just started working for Budweiser out there, delivering for them. And I got all mountain routes. So I learned to drive up there. And it was super fun. But getting back to what I was saying, when I came back here, I was kind of the new guy, so I got to my route was over the Rhine, Clifton, all those areas, which I got to do some of the parts of town, and then over by some of her places it was just different when you'd go into them, like especially the neons outdoor that was, I mean, you go amazing. By there at like 1 p.m. and it's full. You just hear people laughing and it was crazy. And then Japs has, I don't know if you've ever been in the back of Japs or down the elevator.
No,
I'm pretty sure this was Japs. If my memory is correct, it was Japs, but they had the creepiest elevator I've ever been.
Cool.
It was like you get in and the lights kind of flicker, and it's just a service elevator. Closes with the 2 little windows and just kind of works its way down, so you can put the beer down the bottom.
Terrifying.
But the building itself, super cool.
I love all those old buildings down there too. I mean, there's so much history in the city in that regard too. She's really good at knowing all the history too, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's I remember asking someone, I was like, there's a couple of places I deliver, and somebody had mentioned her name. Like, well, those are her places. And I was like, well, they're both way better than a lot of the places. And I think that's good. I mean, I feel like the area needs people like that because it elevates everyone. Like, hey, get up to this person's level or you're not going to make it, man.
Yeah, for sure. And she's just like such a sweet and fun person to work with too, which is amazing. Where, not that that's historically a problem here or anything like that, but you know what I mean? But it is nice when somebody that's like a leader in the community, you're like, oh, not only are they a leader, but they're also awesome, you know?
Yeah, that's always nice to find out.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's funny, when I first moved back here, when I delivered, I think it was here, it might have been Eastgate. That was the first time that I met Jungle. Just for a second, he was just like, huh. But, he rolled, I remember he rolled in, and it was like an old school limousine brought him in the back. And like an old Lincoln, like that, and somebody came up on the little Segway and gave it to him, and he put his hat on, waved to us, and went his way in. I was like, man, that guy's living the dream. Like, I would literally just ride around on a Segway with a wizard hat on, probably the rest of my life. Oh, yeah. If somebody let me.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I feel like Jungle's so much fun to me because it's obviously inspiring to someone like me who kind of is trying to live that life too, where he's always just like, what is fun and interesting? Is it weird? Do I want to do it? And if the answer is yes, let's go. And even if sometimes the answer is not yes, he's still willing to try, Yeah. What a fun and interesting. I've never worked for a more interesting employer in my entire life.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's fun. It's been a great time. And it's like, it's really nice. Look, you can imagine what my career has been like, trying to be myself places where, in a lot of creative gigs, they're always like, we really like your energy. Don't do that here. It's like most companies like, here's a small box. I'd like you to fit in that. And we'd like to be mad at you when we just keep doing the same thing we've been doing for 20 years and it's not working. Yeah. You're the face of the problem now. Whereas here it's been the exact opposite, where it's been like, no, be weirder. Like, my first year and a half, I don't think I was weird enough. I think I was too busy being like almost like corporate PTSD in a weird way, where I'm like, all right, don't do that. And then I was wrong.
Yeah.
I love it. It's crazy. I can't believe my life sometimes. I literally rode a horse and buggy yesterday. I didn't think that was going to be my Wednesday plan.
I saw that.
We brought a bunch of Amish produce back in, so I guess I'll say this for the sake of the audience. At the time of recording, it's available, but they made a sign that says the Mark Morrison special because I bought an order of pie pumpkins from the Amish, and then they're already on the floor. Less than 24 hours later, they're already here so it's insane.
Everything they make's fantastic. I don't think I've ever had anything from an Amish thing that wasn't good.
Oh, it's crazy.
I don't think I've had anything that was bad.
Well, they were kind of like letting me in on the secrets, and I guess they were saying things like, well, I guess let me back up. The produce I was looking at was so beautiful and picturesque. I was like, I've never seen an acorn squash that looks this nice. And like to the level of almost being like, when you see a fake piece of fruit and you're like, oh, it looks perfect. Yeah. That's how everything looked. And I'm sitting there going like, this is crazy. And they're telling me, they're like, yeah, well, if a plant looks like it's grown the wrong way, we're just going to pull that whole thing out and move it to where it's going to succeed. And if it needs to be turned 90 degrees to get that thing right, well, we're going to just do that. And they are so well versed in it. They're just like, no, that's how we get all this perfect. And I've never seen anything. I mean, like, I'm looking at these just huge pallets of fruit, and I'm like, these are all the most picturesque, perfect looking watermelons, for example. It legitimately blew my mind. I was struggling to have words at times. Like, who thought I was going to care this much about a cantaloupe, right? But maybe it was me.
I'm sure they're also expert candle makers.
Yeah. And that was like the one thing I didn't see yesterday. It was like we had some handcrafted metal signs. I was like, listen, let's get a pallet of rocking chairs going on because I'm trying to get some woodwork in my life, you know? Nice. All right, so how we doing over here?
She's good. It's starting to dry down. It's probably less than 100 degrees now.
Nice.
So it'll start, turning white basically slowly. It already is at the bottom. You can see some of the,
you can start to see it.
Yeah, some of the metal gets covered.
And even when you move the wick, it looked a little thicker too. John Thick.
But it goes a lot faster with like smaller ones. These guys take a minute, but it's weird because it'll turn white a little bit and then it'll start
Suddenly.
it'll start to get solid. And then we'll reheat up the top and add in the loops and she'll be done.
That's
Put
super
it in
cool.
a box.
Good
All
to
the
go.
fancy stuff, Which we just use a basic baker's box that works fine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But,
it fits the aesthetic too.
Yeah.
It's like fun and cute. I can't get over how strong these smell. These smelled so good that I'm like, the whole time. Like,
Have to keep stuff. You're like, Mark.
Yeah, right. Just over here smacking my hand the whole time. I can't get over this. And, I know I said it earlier, everybody, but like it's what, 3-ish feet away from me, unlit. And no, it is warm, but at the same time, like from the moment you added the fragrance, I was like, oh, I can smell this very strongly.
Yeah. This is pretty much what I smell like from probably in about 2 weeks till the end of the year.
No kidding.
People just go, you smell like Fruit Loops. Like, yeah, I know.
Hell yeah.
It's in my hair. It's in my fingers. It's in everything. Every time I take off my ring, it's like under that. I have like a perfect ring of wax under it.
You're like,
it's ridiculous.
Breakfast.
Yeah. Almost like you with the bathtub full of chili. I might as well just do that.
I think I'm living in this flavor now forever. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I can barely smell it anymore.
Yeah.
That's
what I said about the chili too.
I always wondered, like, was that staining at all on your skin or nothing?
I really thought it was. And no, it was honestly a little sad. So my process was so we're in here. Once we're done, I stand up and I'm in the bathtub, and the tub sponsor was Jolly Plumbing, and they were like, "We'll clean up," because I had 2 asks. I was like, I just need a tub I can sit in to do an hour-long podcast and it not like break my back, and 2, I really don't want to clean it up. And I'm assuming because you're a plumbing company, you've seen way worse things than uneaten chili in a bathtub, probably. I feel confident in saying that. They were trying to get us set up that we could gravity feed, so chili would have come out the spout. Jolly Plumbing was awesome. I cannot say enough kind things. It's so funny. But when we get done, I'm standing in the tub and I'm just thinking to myself the whole time. Now, mind you, I've only officially worked for the company at this point like 4 months. So I've known everybody like a year and a half-ish, through the setting up and like the consulting I was doing beforehand. But at this point, I've only been in the room with them for a few months. So we still kind of we know each other, but we're like not, now we know each other, right?
A very close bond.
Oh, for sure. And they're like sitting here. It's like, here I am in the middle of the grocery store. And I'm just thinking it's a Saturday. So there's just probably first timers coming in. And there's me just in my swim trunks having like 4 other adults like squeegeeing chili off my body with Dawn. And I was like, if it's good enough for the oil-soaked ducks in Alaska, it's definitely going to take this off me. And they did a pretty good job there, but it wasn't perfect. So my first step was, there's a Planet Fitness out in the parking lot. And I was like, oh, it'd be really funny. Let's see if we can just use their hose. Because it was January too. Because they were like, well, we could hose you off in the dock. But I'm like, it's 10 degrees outside. I'm not doing that. And I don't think anybody was serious. I think they were like, it'll be fine. And I was like, what do we do? So a former guest of the show, Phil, our director of development, he goes, hey, I have a Planet Fitness membership and I can get guests in. Let's do it. So I'm like, hell yeah, we'll just go use the shower over there. And as you can tell, I clearly spent a lot of time in the fitness area. More now, though, seriously. But at the time, none.
I have a membership just so I can go, I have a membership.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, I go there sometimes.
I'll have like this thing where I'll go for like a month solid and kill it and then be like, all right, great, 2 months off now. And hopefully I'll show back up this fall. But same thing. So when I get there, though, I didn't realize there were so many hoops to jump through for signing up for a guest pass. So off the rip, I get in there, cell phone signal, it's like not working. So I'm like, they're like, oh, you just have to download the app and log in and all this stuff. Yeah. And mind you, I'm literally wearing a Bengal tiger robe. I'm in swim trunks and sandals. And they got to see some of the chili on me for sure.
Yeah. So a normal Planet Fitness member.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And they're like, yeah, just log into the Wi-Fi, do this. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm imagining just chili dripping on the floor a little bit. You know, we got most of it off, but like at the same time, it was clearly not perfect. So I'm trying unsuccessfully to log into their Wi-Fi. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. I'm doing that. I'm going through this whole process. And then I download the app. Then I have to like make an account on the app to do it. So I was like, of course, this is taking like 20 minutes. Get in there, hose off. I find out in the shower because I'm like, and again, I don't know what to expect. I'm like, oh, there's no soap in here. So I mostly just rinse a layer off so I can get in my car and go home. And then I would say one actual shower at the house. When I got out, I was just sort of like, no stains, no smell, nothing clogging my drain. And I was like, that's it. It's all over already, huh? But then the next day I was getting texts from people I hadn't heard from in years who were just like, I'm getting gas at UDF right now and I'm watching you bathe on the gas pump right now because they were running like a Channel 12 segment on it. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So then I was just like, not only horrified guests who were coming into Jungle Gyms for the first time watching this happen, but then I'm imagining the resulting drama. Anybody that was like, I was just trying to get gas today at this UDF, and I had to watch you bathe in a shower cap. It was so ridiculous.
Made me watch.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, sorry about that.
Sheesh. That's funny. They wanted to hose you off. You take one bath in Chile and everybody treats you like an animal. We'll just hose you off out back.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, do you have a pasture?
Yeah. Could use some hay right now if you got
You'd be
any.
amazed at how many brands reached out afterwards to be like, why don't you bathe in our product next? And I'm like, okay, but I don't know if I want to be the bathtub guy. I was like, listen, if that's all you want to do, I'll do it. But I think we can get more creative. And then a lot of the brands, they were not as, I wouldn't say not as open-minded, but I think a lot of people excited at first, and then they'll do that thing where they're like, what if this is accidentally toxic to the human body if he lays in it for an hour? Yeah. Oh, which, by the way, the night before I did the bath, I'm sitting there Googling like, is this going to ruin my life? Am I going to have like some terrible, because I'm sure I've gotten chili on my body at some point, but never 25 gallons
never
of it.
Submerged.
Right. And I was like, is this a thing? And so like, mostly cool. And then they're like, but one article mentions like, well, Cincinnati style chilies often carries things like allspice and cinnamon in it. And they were like, cinnamon, however, does occasionally has a fairly, I wouldn't say high, but like higher than the rest of the ingredients, noticeably higher likelihood of an allergic reaction. So then I'm like, oh my God, imagine if I get in this and I'm like 5 minutes in and my skin turns bright red and it's a problem. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so I'm like, all right, I'll enter slowly, and worst case, if I have to get out, I have to get out. If I got 10 minutes in the tub, that's better than 0 minutes in the tub.
You're like, film it, hurry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hurry, here are our sponsors today. No, but it thankfully went well. No bodily harm. I definitely took, how should I say, extra precautions on 2 important areas. A lot of painter's tape that day, and it worked great. So
nice.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. How long did the chili smell in here stay long? Because I noticed it didn't smell like chili at all in here.
What's funny is regarding the chili smell, we had that same week it was our first video episode ever, and we had done a hot pot in here, and it had this like spicy black Szechuan pepper sent to the base. And that smelled really potent in here, probably because we were actually cooking it live and eating it. And that stayed in the room for like weeks. I couldn't smell the chili at all. You could a little bit while it was in here, but then after it was done, it was like, oh, it smells like hot pot still. And it smelled like that for like, a couple weeks after. It's very weird.
Well, have me back on and I'll make some kimchi in here. It'll never go away.
That would be perfect. Yeah, let's do it. I need my kimchi candle.
Oh, God. Oh, that'd be rough.
Can you even imagine?
I don't know. Every time I make it, my kids are like, "Oh my God, what's?" Because I like to make it in the morning Like I'll chop up, like dice up bacon, fry in a pan, throw in some kimchi, then I'll make some rice, throw that on there. Then you put it all in a bowl and put a fried egg on top. Well,
sounds amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's
it wakes you
delicious.
right up. You don't even need well, I still need a monster, but I like to think I wouldn't if I.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so this part's pretty simple. A lot of candle makers will do this whenever they're adding something to the top. So this is just your basic heat gun.
Okay.
Nothing special. You could use a hair dryer if you were like just starting out trying to learn how to do it. But this part is completely random for all of our candles. So all I'll do is, there's not like a...
Oh, yeah, you can already see it start to melt quick. That's wild.
The best way to do it is when you first make them, because it heats up so quick and it gives you more time because it's warm for it to settle down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool. And my little insert shot here, too.
Yeah. And a lot of candle makers will do this. They'll heat the tops if they have like cracking. Sometimes you get like crazy little pockets. So all I want, you can see like there's a little pinhole looking thing there. Yeah, it'll fill the divots, because if you're not careful, you'll get an air pocket and it'll make the wick get too hot and burn down too fast. Oh. So you can help me with this if you'd like, Mark.
I would love to.
All you do, I don't have a crazy order or anything. Okay. You just throw them all in there. When we're done, these will all be in there.
On top of each other.
Oh yeah.
Apparently I can't film it and...
It's a special one when you do that, right?
Yeah, right. This is the special edition. The green over there.
There you go.
I flipped it upside down.
Two blues right next to each other. Oh, that's fine. Accident. There's no accidents, I guess, right?
This is art.
Yeah, exactly. You can just say it's all part of the process. People have asked us to make like design. It's hard to get a design out of loops. I did make probably shouldn't say that. We're in Cincinnati. Somebody asked me to make a Cubs one, and I did do it, and it looked good. It looked really good. Yeah, my friend Danny, who's helped us out many times, he specifically asked, like, you can make a Cubs logo with the loops around the outside and the C, and we did, and it looked great.
That's
and
cool.
I was like, don't you tell anybody I did this.
Right, exactly. I'll cut this out of the edit.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we don't need that part in there. So basically, then I just kind of do this little number here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just going to set. Trim the wicks down my cutters here. And this guy's just going to sit for a couple more minutes, and then it'll be ready to be boxed up, which I can do that as well.
That's awesome.
Do the start to finish process. I brought everything but the pricing gun.
I love it. Perfect. Well, the pricing is always my least favorite part of any purchase. So. Something I was going to ask. So, cutting the wicks down. Do you have any tips on wick length when starting a candle?
1/4 of an inch, like how it is now. Yeah. That's like where you want to be. Okay. They tell people when they burn candles to trim the wicks after you burn it, but a lot of people don't do that because a lot of candles are like this and they go down inside of something, and most people just have a pair of scissors. Right. These are wick cutters, so they're made for that, so they go down into something. Okay. Honestly, before I had those, if I was following the procedure, I'd just blow the candle out, and then after it dried and cooled down, I'd just reach down and go like that with my fingernails and kind of just pluck it. Sure. But if you buy a candle and the wicks are like an inch long, you should probably not just light that. Right, trim down a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna get really, really hot. But wicks are a pretty big deal when you're making them, just so you don't, because if you overheat something, it might bust in half. Sure. And we did have an issue with that. We have a friend of mine makes me liquor bottles, and he'll cut them, and he does a wine bottle that we sell in our store that's it's on its side, and it's actually cut down the side. And out of nowhere, I think it was like probably 17 or 18, something changed where like whoever makes the glass for like Jack Daniels and all those companies, it started busting. Oh, no kidding. And we couldn't figure out what's going on. So I just stopped carrying them. I was like, I don't want a liability like this. Right. Like I don't want something blowing up. But recently he told me that they kind of figured out the wax combination to make it work, and it was actually the wax was too hard. Really? And then when it melted, somehow it would cause this pressure thing to happen where it would just pop it in half. Oh, and then that makes sense too. Yeah. The combination of that, the heat, I'm sure, and everything. Wild though. Yeah, there's a lot of little tweaks to get you there, basically. I mean, tons of people do all kinds of different candles, now there's people who do like squeezy things where you like open the top and squeeze it and it's like it melts.
Oh,
and,
wild.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and I think the benefit of that is that you can put so much more fragrance in it because it's not going to burn.
Sure.
And it literally needs to be like a slushy. But that's not something I've really dived into yet.
That's
I've
wild.
been playing around with incense for a while, trying to make those.
Sure.
I like the idea of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, but that requires a little more patience, I guess.
Sure.
Which I've always struggled with that for sure.
That makes two of us.
Yeah. But yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Heck yes.
So, whoop,
The final steps of the
the
process.
final steps. It's funny that when we would go to fairs and festivals and things like that, I would just, if I had like, I remember the last time I did we don't really do much anymore because we're in the store now, so we're there all the time.
Yeah.
But one of the last ones I did was the Claremont County Fair, because we're from we're in Owensville. We live in Owensville, and that fair happens in our town. So it's like you have to do it. We didn't do it this year, but the last time I did, I remember I was working on an order for Jungle's Eastgate. And while I was there, I was like, well, if I'm going to sit there all day, I might as well build their order. So I was just sitting there doing this. And then, in my mind anyway, I turned into one of those cool guys with the crazy glasses and top hat, making the blowing the glass
Right,
and stuff. Like, oh, look at all these people looking at me. Like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was so yeah, we started doing that whenever we did shows. Like, I'm just gonna, like, I would go to a show with like no inventory, and they'd be like, where's all your stuff? Like, I'm gonna make it here.
Yeah.
People are gonna watch me make it here.
Right, and they're going to be way more interested in the process that way, too.
Yeah, it does make it a little more interesting to kind of see how it all goes down. Plus, it's not like, I don't know, I guess with some companies it'd be like, you want to see how we make this? And then they just, call China, like, I need 6 of these.
Right, exactly. Control print.
That's how I do it.
That's awesome.
Then I just put a label in there.
Oh, perfect.
And then it'll set up here in about 5-10 minutes. It'll be ready to burn tomorrow.
That's amazing.
And that one's for you.
Oh, thanks so much. This is so cool. The rainbow rings themselves, folks. Look at that. And you can get one yourself at the Eastgate Jungle Gyms location. And who knows, by the time this airs, it might be at both stores.
Yeah,
Could
hopefully.
be. We'll find out.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. This is my pressure move where I'm like, oh, let's bring some of this in. So I always try to be good about that. I'm like, do you know about this? And then instead of the other way. But I've been decent. I got a couple of things moving in here now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the people that the Jungle hires, he looks for, like, Bree's probably one of the best people I work with, as far as, like, she really's got an eye for stuff that she sees. I mean, she was hesitant with my stuff, and then when they started selling, she was like, okay, I believe you now.
Yeah,
I can start
absolutely.
ordering.
It's super cool. And she's still the same way too, where it was so funny. And she's like, no, it's killing it. She's like, but it's fun that we work for a place where you get to take a swing on things like this. you know?
Yeah, they were really nice about the whole process. Jungles has kind of their own, I can say that I don't work with any other stores that do it the way they do it.
Yeah.
But the way they do it's real nice and clean, and everybody's happy.
Good.
So, I mean,
I love hearing that.
Yeah, it's one of the best ones we work for sure. We do a few other companies that are mostly local. We like to keep it local.
Sure.
We do one that, it's a store called Celebrate Local, actually.
Yeah.
They used to have a store over in the Liberty Center, and they have one up in Columbus.
Yeah.
I think they moved out of the one in Liberty, though, so they just have the Columbus one, but such a cool store. They only will carry things from Ohio. That's it.
That's amazing. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I always tell her, like, you should just do this in every state. Like, oh, we only carry things in Kentucky. We only
Right.
carry things from Tennessee. Like,
Yeah,
it
and
would
everybody
work
would
in
love
every
it.
state. Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Well, if they don't do it, I'm going to go ahead and open my store since
There
I'm
you go.
living in Kentucky.
Take the
now.
idea.
It's perfect. Yeah. Listen, nothing personal. Just, you had your chance. They told you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cory, I'm so glad you came out today. Thanks so much for this. And thanks for walking us through the process.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, my absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to burning this. I'll have a full report. Well, I'll have a full report at the end of this episode because I'll have burnt it by then.
Yeah. And if he burns his house down, then he messed something up.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
We were doing this.
I wore the apron.
Yeah.
You know what to do. I burnt that candle immediately up, and my house smelled like Fruit Loops for weeks. It was kind of great, but now I'm glad I did it before I ate all of that huge punch bowl of cereal, because I don't think I could have handled it now. The scent is potent. It lasted throughout the entire burning of the candle. I was very, very impressed with that. Don't tell the other loves at Bath & Body Works how I feel. But no, seriously, great work. Check out Libby's Country Candles. Definitely in the Eastgate store. highly recommend you give them a shout. So anyway, thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad we got that in there. Help you out with your holiday buying guide. So hey, speaking of it, at the beginning of the show, I said, subscribe to YouTube. So we did a fun episode this week that we shot a little while back where I did a sandwich competition. I would love your feedback on that. I think that kind of content's really fun. I enjoyed making it. Lucky did a great job with the edit. Like, I think it all just came together really well. And I'd love to see if you all like it as much as I did. I could use your help on that one. So, of course, another great way, subscribe to us on YouTube. You'll see content like that. I'm working on some Jungle Gyms holiday buying guides. I think that should be cool. Hoping I can get that out to you in the next week or two. I got some new products coming in from Super Coffee. Super Coffee's launching new coffee energy drinks. Should be cool, 200 milligrams. Check it out. I'll have the short reel's already public, but I've got a whole review video coming out of that. And then another fun one. My friends at Urban Artifact just released this week a new non-alcoholic version of their Midwest fruit tart. So if you are one of those people who's trying to do the NA thing, you should check it out. I would assume it'll come into here at Jungle Gyms at some point. I am definitely getting some to sample and review, so you'll learn about it one way or another. Huge thanks to Scott and everybody over at Urban Artifact for loving me enough to let me do that. So, all right, on that, I got some other things we got to knock out. So in the meantime, I'll see you out there in the aisles.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.